Hello everybody. Today I'm going to show you how you can make something at home that you can play with. We are going to make homemade Play-Doh. And so we're going to start with some flour. So we're going to put 1 cup of flour in a bowl. And parents, making Play-Doh at home is a good activity for your child to help with following directions as they follow the recipe, and also it gives them a chance to practice measurement skills. So we're starting with 1 cup of flour, and I'm going to put that in my bowl. And then I have some salt, and I want half as much salt as I have flour. So I did 1 whole cup of flour. I'm going to do 1/2 a cup of salt. So I'm going to pour it into my 1/2 cup. And my cat, Lily, is watching me because she really likes food and she thinks I'm making food. She doesn't know I'm making Play-Doh. And then I'm going to take a fork to just kind of mix all the flour and the salt together so it's all mixed in really well. So you might want to just stir it around a few times and just take a look at it to make sure that you don't see the salt anymore, that it's all mixed in with the flour. And you can kind of scrape the bottom of the bowl and feel it there. So that is a part that my friends can have fun doing. Some parts of this you will need a grown-up to do because we're going to add some hot water in just a minute. But stirring the salt and the flour with a fork is something that children can have a lot of fun doing. So make sure that it's all stirred up. And then, it looks pretty good. We are going to add some hot water. So I have water in a pan. You can see that I heated on the stove. I put 3/4, so 3/4 of a cup of water in a pan, heated it on the stove just to get it nice and hot, not boiling. And to my water, to make my Play-Doh nice and smooth, I'm going to add some cooking oil. So I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of cooking oil to my 3/4 of hot water, 3/4 of a cup. 3/4 of a cup of hot water, 1 tablespoon of cooking oil. And I'm going to stir that up. So there's the oil. So far we have flour, salt, water, and cooking oil. And I'm going to mix that up. And then I have one more thing to add to the water and the cooking oil. This is the fun part. I'm going to add food coloring. And I chose green, but you can choose any color that you like for your Play-Doh. So I'm going to put, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 drops of food coloring in. And mix it. Mix it, mix it, mix it. I maybe need a little more. It's kind of a light green, and I want my Play-Doh to be a nice, pretty green. All right. So I'm mixing my food coloring, warm water, and oil. And when it's all mixed up, I'm going to pour it over the flour and the salt. So that's a part where you will need a grown-up because the water is pretty hot and it needs to be heated up on the stove. But then you can take a spoon and stir and stir and get all the flour and the salt mixed in with the water and the cooking oil and the food coloring. And when you can't stir it anymore, when it gets kind of hard to stir and when it's cool enough, then you can start to work it with your hands. Now my Play-Doh feels a little bit sticky. Sometimes that happens. So I am going to take my 1/2 cup measure, and if your Play-Doh is a little too sticky, too hard to play with, you can always add flour. So I'm going to grab, you know what, maybe I'll scoop it out. I'm going to grab some flour and sprinkle it on. And then for this part, I'm going to use my hands. So it might get a little bit messy. And I'm going to work the flour in with my hands. Kind of like you're making pie crust or bread dough. And this is really sticky, so I think I'm going to need a lot more flour. So when you try this at home, you might want to use, I used 3/4 of a cup of water, and it was a little bit sticky today. You might want to try 1/2 cup of hot water that's been heated up on the stove, hot but not boiling. Don't get it that hot. And then see if that works a little bit better with 1 cup of flour and 1/2 cup of salt. Oh, it's getting better. So I'm going to work the flour in. And then you can see a little bit sticky, so I'm going to put a little more flour on and mix that in. And my cat Lily has just decided that I'm not making yummy food, so she's walking away now. Because I don't think she really wants to play with Play-Doh. She would rather play with her cat toys. Okay, it looks like it's pretty good. Maybe a little bit more flour. It's just a little sticky on my hands. So you can add as much flour as you need to get it to a nice texture where it feels like the Play-Doh that we play with at school. Oh, now it's good. And then you will have your own Play-Doh to play with at home, because we're not able to be in school right now, but you can still play with Play-Doh at home when you make your own Play-Doh. And parents, Play-Doh is a really good activity for children. It's very good for the small muscles in their hands. It's good for small muscle development, which will be great in helping your child be able to write and do things that they need their finger strength for, especially when they head off to kindergarten. So, there is my green Play-Doh, all ready to play with. I'm going to make a little Play-Doh snake. Or a worm. I could make a little tiny inchworm, like the inchworm story that we read the other day. There's my little inchworm. So you can make anything that you want with your Play-Doh, and a good way to store it so you can play with it more than once is in a Ziploc bag or any kind of storage container that you can seal so it stays nice and moist and doesn't dry out. So parents, you can, after you make your Play-Doh and your child has played with it for a while, you can put it in a Ziploc bag, seal it up, and then save it to play with for next time. So that is how you can make Play-Doh at home. Have fun, and I will see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.